The great mystery of Area 51 has been solved. Imagine a spot in the middle of the Nevada desert, not even marked on maps. You are not allowed to fly over it. You are not allowed to enter it. It is forbidden to circle around it or ask detailed questions about it. Even if you were the American president, you wouldn't be allowed into this base. The place I'm talking about is 1/3 the size of Barcelona and perhaps the most secret and mysterious facility on the planet. Known by the CIA as Paradise Ranch, by the Air Force as Dreamland, and by the Army as the Nevada Training and Test Site, it is globally known as Area 51. Why is it called Area 51? What is hidden inside? Despite being the size of a huge city, why are there much more complex structures underground than above ground? And most importantly, what is happening here? Or even more frighteningly, who are the captives? Come, let's search for the facts together. Welcome to Traces of History and Nature. The Traces of History. According to the information presented to us on paper, Area 51 is a military facility specially established for America's U-2 spy plane program in the 1950 seconds when the Cold War was heating up. If you ask what those 51 numbers are, since many bomb and weapon tests were carried out in the Nevada desert during that period, the American Atomic Energy Commission began numbering these military zones piece by piece. Over time, as the number of test areas in the region increased, the numbers also increased. The Groom Lake region, where our famous base is located, is the 51st zone, and thus it began to be referred to as Area 51. However, if we add a little mystery and mysticism to the mix, I can also give you interesting information. As you know, every corner of America is full of symbolism, from the city structure of Washington to the design of its currency. Due to its Masonic origins, it is natural to see such interesting symbol choices in the country. Here we encounter an interesting feature of the number 51. If we take it numerically, 51, that is 5 plus 1, gives us the result 6. In some mystical teachings, it is the symbol of hidden knowledge and high-level initiation. If we take 51 alone, in this numerology, it symbolizes superior intellect and the unveiling of the unknown. An interesting coincidence, isn't it? Some also claim that this is not a coincidence because the CIA specifically chose this number for the region. Well then, after these claims, we can ask the question, what secret information or unknown reason might this code have been given for? This is why we are taking a journey into the near past, the Roswell incident. In 1947, at least as far as we know, a mysterious event occurred in the town of Roswell, New Mexico, before Area 51 even existed, and everything suddenly changed. The 14th of June, 1947, as darkness fell over the Corona region of New Mexico, a violent storm covered the sky, and hundreds of lightning bolts illuminated the gloomy night with frightening explosions. That night, William McBrather, watching his land from his home, saw a lightning flash among the storm clouds in the sky and a burning object falling at high speed towards the land right next to his ranch. Days passed after the terrifying storm, and while exploring his land, Farmer McBrather came across some metal fragments, and following the traces, he encountered a larger wreckage. McBrather reported the scene he encountered to Roswell Sheriff George Wilcox the next day, stating in his testimony that the metallic, aluminum-like pieces he found were very thin but incredibly strong, and the plastic-like pieces never melted, even though everything around them was burning. The sheriff immediately forwarded this unusual situation to the Roosevelt Army Air Base operating in the region. The Army immediately sent a team commanded by Major Jesse Marcel to the area to examine and carefully collect the wreckage. And from here on, things start to become quite interesting for the world. On the 8th of July, 1947, Roswell Army Air Base Press Secretary Walter Haut appeared before the press and told people something they never expected. The U.S. Army Air Force has captured a flying disc in the Roswell area. Then the whole country freezes, and suddenly the whole agenda changes. The headlines read, Army Air Force finds a flying disc and now owns it. Major Jesse Marcel, who managed the operation along with the press secretary, stated in his statement that the pieces in the wreckage were unusually light but extremely durable. Now I will ask you to pay a little more attention here, because between these first statements made on the morning of July 8th and the sudden second press conference on July 9, an operation was carried out with incredible speed and secrecy. And this operation is very, very important for our topic. Immediately after the statement made by the major and his team, a crowded team was sent to the region and the area was completely closed off. Army vehicles quickly transported the wreckage to the military base on the night of July 8th and the dawn of July 9, and from there, special cargo planes carried the wreckage to the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio and Los Alamos, the military facility in Nevada where the atomic bomb was developed. Especially Wright-Patterson was one of the high-tech bases where the U.S. Air Force tested and developed the latest technologies in those years. That's an important footnote. However, according to eyewitness accounts, the Army did not only transport pieces of wreckage that day, it was also claimed that some bodies were carried in bags resembling body bags. The cover-up and the official reports. On July 9, the Air Force held another emergency press conference over Roswell and said that the press statements made on July 8th were completely unfounded and the wreckage found was actually a normal weather survey balloon. Even Major Jesse Marcel's famous photographs while examining the wreckage were given to the press, and the subject was quickly closed. Farmer Mac Brazel, one of the two most important eyewitnesses, was detained by soldiers immediately after his first statement. On July 9th, he appeared before the press and made a new statement. What I found might belong to a weather balloon. It didn't look like a very big event. And as he finished his speech, he said, I wish I had never been involved in this event. Farmer Brazel never spoke about this issue again until after his death. And interestingly, immediately after his statement, the second main eyewitness, Sheriff George Wilcox, was also removed from his post. Years later, his daughter Phyllis McQuire said, My father was intimidated by the Army and we were ordered never to talk about it. It sounds a little too harsh a measure for a weather balloon, doesn't it? With the explosion of conspiracy theories in America in the 1,990 seconds, hundreds of people began to speak to magazines, newspapers, and writers about the Roswell incident, stating that they were eyewitnesses. This pressure produced an important result. The U.S. military had to hold a formal press conference to present its second official report to the people. While trying to make eyebrows, it officially confirmed the huge cover-up. How? The report mentioned an Army project recorded as Project Mogul. This was an operation that included weather balloon and high-altitude observation balloon projects. The military claimed the object that hit Roswell was a balloon from this project. They just did not mention why the falling air balloon was sent hastily, using special military vehicles and planes with no flight registration, to the Wright-Patterson Advanced Technology Air Base in Ohio in less than 24 hours, rather than to one of the dozens of military bases carrying out the project in that region. But this is not the information that really trashes the report. Remember, I told you about the eyewitnesses who said that some bodies were also carried from the rubble. Different eyewitnesses described the same characteristics of the bodies being carried around the wreckage. Corpses between 1 and 1.2 meters tall, with gray, pale skin, large heads, large black eyes, very small, almost non-existent noses, hairless, wearing metallic clothes, and 4 fingers. Yes, this was the official side where the classic gray aliens definition, today, was first used. The military's answer to this claim in the report was Operation High Dive. This operation tested basic parachute experiments of the American Air Force using test dummies. The Army's press spokesman said that the bodies, known as alien corpses, were one of the test dummies used in this operation. And the reason for the small number of fingers is that 1 finger on each hand of the mannequin burned and melted when the debris fell. But there is a lot of fallacy in this funny statement. If the falling debris belonged to a normal weather balloon, why were there more than 1 parachute test dummy next to it? Did all the model's fingers melt off regularly? Although the mannequins used in the operation were made in the size and shape of an average human, why did all eyewitnesses say that the real corpses were 1 meter tall and had heads much larger than humans? The most important point, the Roswell incident took place in 1947, but Operation High Dive started in the early 1952, probably in 1953. That is at least 4 to 5 years after the Roswell incident. When a journalist asked this question, the Air Force spokesperson merely said that the friends in the archive had written the time of the operation wrong. The secret note and FBI memo. I think there is another point beyond all of this. The military note held in the hand of Major Jesse Marcel, who was standing next to the wreckage of the air balloon that his soldier presented to the press on July 9. Marcel held the note open in his hand, facing the cameras. Years later, when technology developed, that note was deciphered, at least some of it. The following was written in the deciphered parts of the note. Urgent. Disc. The victims of the crash are inside the disc. Let me add one last clotted cream to this beautiful dessert. In 2013, an old document was found in the FBI archives. An official document written by an FBI Washington office agent named Guy Huddle on the 22nd of March 1950. The explanation of the researcher working in the Air Force is as follows. 3 flying saucers found in New Mexico. They were circular in shape, 15 meters in diameter, and had a raised center. 3 bodies were found, each in a human shape but only 1 meter tall, wearing metallic dresses with extremely good texture. According to the information given, the high-power radars in the region interfered with the control mechanisms of the flying discs, and thus they were found. Now, enjoy this huge Roswell UFO crash cover-up dessert that I present to you and take a deep breath, because this was just the first part of the video. Now we will delve into the darker sides of the matter, and we will encounter a new unit. A new facility that emerged immediately after these events. The birth of Area 51. Area 51 is designed in such a way that no one can enter without permission, and, according to some claims, a creature that has been kept there for years can never get out. The Nevada test site is a massive military testing area. America has tried and implemented countless technologies in these desolate lands. In the early 1950s, the CIA and the American Air Force created the largest airbase area in the region with a joint project, and Area 51 was officially opened in 1955. If we consider the Area 51 issue normally, we will understand that many extraordinary, or sometimes called paranormal events that the media draws attention to are actually extremely normal rumors due to the nature of the region. Why? We are talking about a region that has been developing and testing high-level secret projects and military vehicles since the moment it was founded. In 1955, high-altitude U-2 spy planes were tested. The public, who had no knowledge of these aircraft operating at extremely high altitudes, often reported this craft and the sunlight it reflected on the clouds as UFOs. In the 1,960 seconds, the unusually designed SR-71 Blackbird and a 12 OXCART hypersonic spy planes were also tested. In the 80 seconds and 90 seconds, it was tested on the F-117 stealth plane and, interestingly, on various experimental aircraft that were actually circular. In other words, many extraordinary technologies with experimental designs that were hidden from the public were tested in the field day and night, and the public immediately attributed the incident to UFOs. Due to the great impact of Roswell, the background of 90% of the theories circulating in the market actually consists of facts that can be attributed to these military experiments. But there is also the 10% part of the job, and this is where things get really dark. The power above the president, the establishment of the 51st region, with the cooperation of the Army and the CIA, and with superior powers, was approved by then-President Dwight Eisenhower. As far as I know, this is the only military base in America where the CIA has such a say in its control. The management principle of the base is the need-to-know principle. President Eisenhower requests a report about this base where America's most secret technologies are developed. But this request is rejected. The request is repeated and rejected again. Look, the person we call president is the head of the Army. He can be said to be the person at the highest level in the state structure who has the authority to use nuclear weapons, but he is not seen as having sufficient authority to share information about a military base in his own country. Eisenhower, who went crazy, sent the following ultimatum to the base in 1958. If you don't tell me what happened, I will send the U.S. Army there. Thereupon, history divides into two paths. The conspiracy claim. After this ultimatum, Eisenhower went on a trip to Palm Springs, California on February 22. But from the evening of February 22 to the morning of February 24, the president disappears and goes on an unrecorded journey. According to some claims, it is said that on that unrecorded night, he was specially taken to Area 51 and inspected the research carried out there. It is even claimed that he met with the gray alien. After this lost day, Eisenhower never spoke about the region again. He just gives this warning before leaving his post. American democracy must be alert to the growing power of the military-industrial complex. This structure can undermine democracy in the name of national security. The official claim. According to the report given to the press, the president urgently went to his dentist that night and had a minor dental operation. But remember this. Eisenhower wasn't the only president to be rejected. This will even end with the murder of a president. The Kennedy assassination connection. In the 1,960 seconds, President Kennedy begins his term. Between 1,961 and 1,963, Kennedy wanted to get information about some secret projects under CIA control. After this information, Kennedy urgently requested documents and approval from NASA and the CIA to conduct UFO research together with the Soviets. And just 10 days after this request, he was killed in front of everyone in Dallas on the 22nd of November, 1963. The speech he made before he was killed. We must confront a ruthless and highly effective conspiracy that is spread throughout the world. This conspiracy has expanded by secret means rather than open methods. It progressed by infiltrating rather than conquering. It uses oppression instead of choice, fear instead of freedom. This system has transformed human and material resources into a large, efficient machine. It is a highly detailed and complex mechanism that includes diplomacy, military operations, intelligence, economy, science, and politics. All of this is moving behind the scenes in the shadows. Can you imagine? Even if you are the American president, you are helpless against this mechanism. And whatever this mechanism is, it can even kill the president of the country in front of its people in order to protect those secrets and to show off its strength. Subsequent presidents were also blocked. In the 1970 seconds, Jimmy Carter was classified as not needing to know and was not given any information about UFO documents. In the 1990 seconds, Clinton threatens to close down Area 51, but is also put into the category of not needing to know. Obama and Trump are the first presidents to officially use the phrase Area 51, but they cannot talk about it anymore. Trump even said, "There are many interesting things, but I can't talk about them." In short, the area we are talking about is a structure within the American state, but almost independent of it and acting even above it. Some call this structure Majestic 12, the Bob Lazar controversy. In the late 80 seconds and 90 seconds, we encountered a person who revealed Area 51 inches all its nakedness, the famous Bob Lazar. Appearing publicly in 1989, Bob mentions the existence of a facility located near Area 51 that examines extraterrestrial technologies captured to date, including the wreckage of the Roswell, and analyzes these vehicles by reverse engineering. He claimed to be a physicist working in this facility. Lazar's claims: controls were carried out at the base with biometric hand and bone scanning devices. The UFOs in the secret facility flew not with normal engines, but with engines that artificially destroyed gravity with an element called Element 115. There were a total of 9 UFOs in S4, the underground facility established near Lake Popoze. The race that owned these vehicles was a race born from the Zeta Reticuli star system, a binary star system located 39 light-years away from our world. Debunking Bob Lazar. Contrary to the information I explained throughout the video, I have to intervene here. Bob Lazar is not as honest as you think. Education and career. Bob Lazar's only officially known educational record is from New York's Tresper Clark High School. There is not even the slightest record of him studying or doing a master's degree at Caltech or MIT, as he later claimed. Los Alamos. Lazar did work at Los Alamos, but as a technician, not an engineer or physicist. He worked as a subcontractor, performing the wiring and maintenance of electronic devices with no connection to secret or high-level projects. Area 51. There is not the slightest document or record proving that the man was there or that he applied for a job. Technology claims. The hand and bone scanning device mentioned by Bob Lazar is actually a reference to the technology used in the 1977 science fiction movie. UFO sketches. The UFO sketches that Bob carefully drew actually belonged to John Lear, who had made programs about flying saucer claims and drawings even before him. Element 115. Claim. When Bob Lazar made this claim, the discovered element order was 109. Element 115 was already mentioned in Scientific America 2 weeks before he released this information to the press. Researchers at the Dubna nuclear facility in Russia officially discovered the element in 2003, and it was called moscovium. However, contrary to Lazar's claim, it is an element that is extremely unstable and decays within milliseconds. Motive. The answer is very simple: money. Bob Lazar was in serious financial ruin with a $60,000 debt to the bank. By presenting the information he received from left and right in a single main story, he caught the popular wave and earned serious money. If 99% of what Bob Lazar and similar people who make the biggest claims about Area 51 say are lies, does this show that these facilities are actually ordinary places? Of course not. Truly extreme technologies are being tested in the region, and perhaps not coincidentally, these technologies were developed extremely rapidly in the following 10 years after the Roosevelt crash. The reality of secrecy. Employees in Area 51 cannot even talk among themselves about the projects in the facility due to their contract. Otherwise, they may be tried with imprisonment from 10 to 20 years or even life imprisonment for treason within the framework of the most severe national security laws. Employees are transported to the facility by private planes departing from Las Vegas and by a company called Code Janet Airlines, which was established just for the 51st area. In short, someone who actually works there cannot open their mouth and make even a single revelation. The forces that kill their president in front of everyone destroy them as you know them. Edward Snowden, who had nothing to do with Area 51, had to flee the country for revealing that the National Security Agency was illegally monitoring people. WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is being tried with up to 175 years in prison. So if someone exposes so much and nothing happens to them, know that they are lying. Always keep this in mind. This video was actually the first part of a big chain, and I made it to show you the UFO incidents that started happening since the late 1940 seconds and the birth of an invisible, superior to the state and extremely secret structure that is said to have taken over America in a way and that the presidents themselves warn people about. I'm talking about a structure that manages the most extreme technology and even extraterrestrial connection. As a continuation of this series, we will continue to deepen our journey by covering topics such as Majestic 12, Blue Book Project, and Men in Black. It is very important that you understand the distinction between the real events and the popular culture-filled lies that are thought to be real based on those events. Yes, then let me ask you this question. What could be hidden in these bases that is so secret that even American presidents are not aware of it? What are your thoughts on this matter? If you know something, please write it in the comments in detail with sources and support. But please present your claims realistically. Thank you all for watching. If you like this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share the videos with those around you. Take care of yourselves. See you in the next video.